Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining me. I feel like it's been a while since I've been here, but maybe I filmed an update in advance or something before I went out of town. I don't know. But nevertheless, I am glad to be talking to you again. I haven't done much reading, or I've just been reading really slowly, but I have made a few acquisitions, which, if you've watched any of my other videos before, you may know that I'm a big library borrower. So I don't acquire books very often, except when I go on a trip or when there's one of my favorite library sales, which I'll talk about. And that just reminds me, I have to run downstairs and get my books from that library sale. But anyhow, I don't know if I'm going to insert some photos that I took of my trip, but I was in the Hudson Valley area. We stay at a place that is, I mean, it's maybe 20 minutes from Hudson, New York, but it's really very close to the border of Massachusetts, Western Mass. Not very far away from a climbing area that we can go to. It's like an hour and 15 minutes away from New Paltz, New York, and the Shawangunk Mountains, which is one of the things that we did when we were there. We also went to Kripalu, that's with a K, and it is a yoga retreat center. I haven't been in this area that I'm speaking of for like 5 years. So pre pandemic, 2019, we go at least once a year, maybe twice a year to this area, which means then I hadn't been to the Gunks, the Shawangunk Mountains, and the little town where the Gunks are, which is New Paltz. It's a college town. SUNY is there. And I hadn't been to Kripalu, which is a very, very special place. They offer yoga classes and yoga training, weekend retreats. You can do a rest and relaxation day. You can get many kinds of healing arts. So we will often get a massage there. It's one of the few places, or no, the only place I think that I can actually get a facial since I have such sensitive skin. And they have the most excellent food, which can be almost all vegetarian, but they will often have a fish entree. I think it's only fish. I don't know if they offer chicken and turkey. They may sometimes. So I highly recommend if you're ever in the area and you want that kind of retreat, it is no less than amazing. And it is not, I feel, it is not an overpriced way to pamper yourself. Anyway, speaking of books, when we went there, we were going to go climbing. And we have like no less than three guides, climbing guides to the Gunks. Actually, we have four, but here's three. And they are designed, I think I've shown these before, but they're designed to clip on your backpack. And you see these all over the place at the Gunks. Here's one with a photo and a very famous, I don't know, the Dangler climb, I think, something like that. And then this is has the salamander theme. I guess that's what that is. You see these little lizards on the rock a lot, and they're really beautiful. They're like rainbow in the sun. But yeah, we forgot all three of them. We didn't bring a single one. And thankfully, the Gunks has an app, and it's a wonderful app. And because you get reception there, you can just pull up the climb that you want to do, because you want to know what the grade is and have a sense of, even if you're not leading the climb, have a sense of the difficulty and where the path of the climb is, whether it's rated 5.8 or 5.5. and so on and so on. So I just thought I would show these because they're really cool little guides to have. And it would be cool if we actually took them the next time. What I usually do is I'll write in there, like if we climbed, oh yeah, here we go. Here we go. Credibility gap 5-6. I climbed this on October 20th, 2012 with Ryan, which is a climbing guide that we would sometimes climb with. I just like to put little memories like that in. So cool. Anyhow, so when we were in Hudson Valley, when we were there, so we went to the beloved Kripalu, we went to the Gunks, and one of the things I wanted to do, if it was rainy one of the days, which I knew it would be, I wanted to go back to Rogers Book Barn. This is the famous Rogers Book Barn, Hillsdale, New York, and old books bought and sold. And I think I'll insert a picture here of that because it's one of those bookstores that is just a huge amount of books, but thankfully it is segmented into fiction, nonfiction, and softback and paperback versus hardback. It's alphabetized, so just general sections of the A's and the B's and the C's. So it was really easy to look through. And I ended up getting 3 books, or did I get more? Is there another one? Oh yeah, there's another one, 4. And it was funny because I hadn't been to the book barn in like 10 years. I didn't know how it worked, or I'd forgotten how it worked. And I overheard someone saying like, oh, it's cash only, or it's check or Zelle, which I don't use. So I thought, oh no, I hardly ever have any cash anymore. So I looked in my wallet and I already had a few books in my hand and I had $8. Well, I had $7 and I had 4 quarters. And that's what I spent. Here's $8. So I was thrilled to find Phineas Finn by Anthony Trollope, which is the next book in the series, the Palliser series that I'm reading. I wanted to get the Black Penguin. I was all ready to order it from wherever I found it used online. But then I saw this and I was like, it was $1. This is a world's classic. It's smaller, but the font isn't too small. And I thought, come on, for $1, I could start reading this tomorrow. So I picked it up. I just let go of the black spine penguin thing for now. Who knows? Then, this is like the real find, right? Come on. The Virago edition of a George Eliot, which is this little novella. I don't know whether I actually knew about this George Eliot, to tell you the truth. I think this is from the 50s. No, I'm sorry. I'm so wrong. In terms of this edition, I think it's 1985. And the premise of the book is so interesting. Latimer, a sensitive and intellectual man, finds he has clairvoyant powers. Then he has a vision of a woman, pale, fatal-eyed, whom he later meets. She is Bertha Grant, his brother's fiancée. Well, I'm not going to read any more of this blurb. I haven't read more of the blurb. That's all I need to know. I'm getting it. I'm reading it. So that was that. And then I got this beautiful orange penguin. And it's a D.H. Lawrence. I haven't read any D.H. Lawrence, and it's his selected letters. I was just reading, this is very delicate, This is the one from the 50s. It's very delicate. It's got an introduction by Aldous Huxley, which I was just reading this morning. And I think this is from 1961. And I'm fascinated. I'm learning a little bit about D.H. Lawrence's life in the introduction. I'll have more to talk about. I think this is one that I'm just going to have bedside and read a little at a time, as you do with collections of letters, or at least as I do. And then I did stumble on this beautiful, what is this called? Oda pin? Oh, I'm forgetting this color that I absolutely love. This is D.H. Lawrence's Women in Love. And I love these beautiful light aqua blue spines from Penguin. And, it was $1 or something. It says that Women in Love continues the story of Ursula and Gudrun begun in the Rainbow. The Brangwyn sisters are now teachers in Beldover, a small town dominated by the great colliery, colliery that seems to express the full dehumanizing ugliness of industrialization. Here, Ursula falls in love with Birkin, in some ways a self-portrait of Lawrence, while Gudrun has a tragic and demonic affair with Gerald. So I don't know. I may just dip into this, even though I haven't read the first one. Give me your advice if you have some advice on this. But yeah, I could not help myself. And when we got done and we went into the town of New Paltz to head home, we have to do two things. One, we have to stop at the restaurant Bacchus and get a farmhouse ale saison kind of beer, very light, very crisp. I'm not a beer drinker, but it is a tradition that I will have some of the beer that we are not even splitting, but I'm having, I don't know, a third of, something like that, because it's just the right thing after a hot day. And then we went into the climbing store, Rock and Snow. They have an annex where they sell stuff on consignment, clothing, shoes, backpacks, everything. And we had, years ago, we had brought things to them to sell, and we had completely lost track, and we are not even getting emails from them anymore. So just on a whim, we said, hey, can you look up our names and see if we have any credit? I mean, it's been years. And the woman said, yeah, here you are. You have $210 worth of credit. My God. I need new climbing shoes. The toe is busting through on one of them. And unfortunately, they didn't have the ones that I wanted. I just wanted the ones to exact the same ones that I have now. But I'm going to order them when they come in and use my credit. That was crazy. Then I got a t-shirt because I have a Rock and Snow t-shirt. They have the best graphics, usually from like the 70s and all kinds of graphics. And so I will grab that before I end this because I adore the one that I got. Okay, back to the books. I brought with me, the only thing I read was I continued to read this book, which I was reading when I last filmed a video, Committed on Meaning and Mad Women by Suzanne Scanlon. I wrote some notes down because this is like a memoir, and then it has chapters in it of like kind of like an essay expounding on some thoughts having to do with other writers who have had mental hospital stays, or at least mental breakdowns of some sort, or that have been given medication. I'm thinking of everyone from Virginia Woolf to Sylvia Plath to David Foster Wallace. And what I guess just captivated me about this book is the seamless way that Suzanne goes from different snippets of her story. You're dropped into her life when she's going to Barnard, and she has some episodes that leads her to the New York Psychiatric Institute. And that there are chapters of her stay there and her experience that's so lyrically written, though. And then you're dropped into chapters that expound on other writers and their experiences in other decades. But it happens so seamlessly that you're just so gently led into those more essay type chapters. I loved it. I loved the style. Normally, that type of back and forth probably wouldn't work for me, but I love Suzanne's writing. Let me see if she's written anything else. It says, just to encapsulate, when Suzanne Scanlon was a student at Barnard in the 90s, grieving the loss of her mother, that's the thing. she lost her mother at a very early age. And she so beautifully writes about her recognition in the hospital, um, that, let me see if I can find it. Ugh. That the realization that she comes to herself of, I'm just going to paraphrase her realization that when she lost her mother at such an early age, she lost her sense of self reflected back to her, as mothers do, and fathers do too. But we're speaking here of mothers and how they reflect back to you your sense of self. And because that just disappeared, um, her father didn't grieve. Her father got remarried right away, and they never spoke of her mother. And so then she realized she didn't have a sense of self when she was young because it disappeared. And it led to a complete psychotic breakdown. And she then had to work at rebuilding a sense of self. Really summarizing and paraphrasing here. Her journey is years long. So let's see if I can. Oh, yeah. So she goes into talking about the 1997 book Airless Spaces. The once radical feminist Shulamith Firestone describes various women in a New York City psychiatric hospital. And she goes on to talk more about Firestone and another book that she wrote. Really interesting part of the book. Then a chapter on the medication Nardil. It's called Good Old Nardil. I will not even try to summarize even further this book. It is so rich. There are so many stories. There's so much information about other writers and their experiences, including her time with David Foster Wallace and how they shared the experience of taking Nardil, which at the time they were taking it, something very strange and dangerous happened to the formulation of Nardil that she talks about in here. I can't recommend this book enough. If this at all sounds like it's up your alley, pick it up, try it out, see if it's as absolutely wonderful as experience as it was for me. I just said that Knife by Salman Rushdie was one of my favorite memoirs. This is going to also be on that list already for the year. No kidding. So yeah. What I'm reading before I go down and get the books from the other book haul that I had. Sorry, this video is so scattered. I'm reading The Wren by Anne Enright. I picked this up from the library that I work at. So it was there, it was available, and I thought, you know what, I'm finally going to get to this book. And I love it so far. It's the first part, as many of you know, is in the voice of Nell. So I get the feeling, or I've seen that Nell has her voice in this book. Then her mother, Carmel, has her voice in this book. I don't know if the grandfather, who was the poet, has his voice here too, but I just finished the section on Nell, and now I am in the section of Carmel. All I can say is I love the character of Nell so much. It's such a unique voice. We are not given very much context about Nell other than when she has interactions with her mother. And then we are given a little bit of information just through those interactions, or how disengaged they are, or how much of a personality Carmel is, how much of a strong personality she has, and why Nell makes, we can guess by default then why Nell is the person she is right now. She's a young woman, why she's making the choices in her dating choices that she's making. There's questions like, why is that? I wonder. I have my theories. I think we'll find out more when we dig into Carmel. But yeah, I'm really enjoying this so far. I'm only, gosh, a quarter in. I'm 56 pages in. So we'll see. I'm going to go down and get the books from a book haul that actually it's a library sale. Um, one of my favorite library sales. So now I'm going to drop you into just a little video at that library sale. Hi, everyone. I'm at a library sale. This is like one of my favorite annual library sales at a nearby library, not the one that I work at. And there's a couple circumstances that are different this year. Because I was working today, I didn't get here until like 1:30 or 2 on a Friday. So normally I would come here like Friday morning as soon as the library opened and find the books that I needed. Well, that didn't happen, and I feel like being here in the middle of the day, they probably didn't replenish as much as they would have by, later on or whatever. So I was at a disadvantage, but I came anyway. I found a few things. They're only $1, so not as enthusiastic and wonderful as past years, but hey, that's how it goes. So I found this beautiful little paperback edition of Virginia Woolf's To the Lighthouse. I think this was done in 1955, and this particular edition of this book. And yeah, it's really cute. I don't have a copy of it, and this would be like the next, in publication order, would be like the next Virginia Woolf that that I would read. So, and then wouldn't you know, another Margaret Duras, The Lover. This is the one that I think I meant to get out of the library, but I got the other one. I know this is a pretty intense book, but I mean, it looks like it's never been cracked. Then I actually saw a W. Somerset Maugham. This is one I think I read a long time ago, but it's The Razor's Edge, and it's so beautiful. I thought, all right, I wanted to read Mom this year, and this would be a really good way to do it rather than Of Human Bondage, because that book is a chunkster and it'll just get me back into the voice. So yeah, I was happy about that. Let's see, I'm going to do these in a certain order. Okay. Oh, here's something else I was happy about. A Graham Greene. I have really enjoyed the Graham Greenes that I've read, but some of them I have now are a little more about the war and stuff like that. So I don't know if I'm going to be into, I think I have one left to read. And this one's a beautiful vintage, and it's got a little crack in it. And it's called Our Man in Havana. And it says Wormold is a vacuum cleaner salesman in a city of power cuts. His adolescent daughter spends his money with a skill that amazes him. So when a mysterious Englishman offers him an extra income, he's tempted, and it has to do with a little bit of espionage. So, and then this was just, yeah, I picked it up. Interesting find. I've always wanted to try a Ford Maddox Ford. So this one's called The Good Soldier, and it says, at the fashionable German spa, two wealthy couples, one British, the other American, meet for their yearly assignation. As the story moves back and forth in time between 1902 and 1914, the fragile surface propriety of the pre-World War I society is ruptured. I'm paraphrasing. So yeah, $1, try out Ford Maddox Ford, sure. And then the last one is Optic Nerve. I think this is a book I've heard about. I feel like a couple people were reading this last year, and maybe Nathan from Nathan's Nook. You'll have to let me know, Nathan. This is by Maria Gainza. Oh, the cover of a woman in a museum. The narrator is an Argentinian woman whose obsession is art. The story of her life is the story of the paintings and painters who matter to her. Her intimate, digressive voice guides us through a gallery of moments that have touched her. So yeah, this is it. This is my book sale haul for $6. I'd love to know your thoughts on any of these books or authors that I mentioned. I just wanted to let you know what my outcome was from this sale. A little bit different than before, but hey, I have plenty of books, and there's other book sales coming up
that I'll enjoy.
That was a really pretty day. It's been so rainy and cool since then. It was like really nice seeing that video again because I was hot in that car. That's why my window was down. But yeah, here are those books. It's good for me to see these again because I'd forgotten. I went to that sale right before we went out of town, so I haven't looked at these books again. Um, the little microphone is back, by the way. I thought I would give him a little chance again to see if it's picking up my voice and whether it's going to shoot a video that you can't hear the sound in. I don't know. It's too big to clip sometimes, so who knows. But anyway, whoops, here is this Rock and Snow. Let me fold it in a way that you can. First of all, this is a color I don't normally wear, and I tried it on, and I actually like it. I don't know if this is backwards. It says Rock and Snow since 1970. And it ends up being, see, on the chest. And then look at the back. Let me see if you can see it. Oh my God. I don't normally buy t-shirts like this, but more and more, this is like, I love it. I love it. What am I reading now? I am reading the Alyssa Gabbard that I think I mentioned. I'm going to bring it up. I want to talk about this book, but I can't talk about Committed and Alyssa Gabbard at the same time. I really want to take the time and put my thoughts together about this new one. I think it comes out in June 11th, right there. Really nice cover. Any person is the only self. Interesting title. I've been trying to figure out what that means. June 11th, I finished it before I went away. Next up, also, I have started reading the new Rachel Cusk. So, Nathan from Nathan's Nook and I are doing a read along. And I've just dipped into the first few pages of this book. And boy, does it feel different than any of the Cusks that I've read. And I haven't read all of her books, so I can't say whether it's completely different, but yeah, it's really like the style of writing is even different, but I can't articulate how other than like it feels like it's a little more not of its time. It feels a little like old fashioned, but in a way that I can't articulate yet. So uh, it's fresh. It feels fresh because it feels older. I don't know. We'll see. Anyhow, thanks for joining me in this chaotic touch base. It's wonderful to be here and be talking with you again. Oh, I did want to say, I have mentioned before, but I'll just mention it again. Have created a knitting YouTube channel. I'll link it down below for anyone of you that knits that wants to watch. There are a couple booktubers that I know of that are knitters that I would love to have conversations with on that knitting channel. Oh, by the way, I'm a brand new knitter, so I have 3 episodes and I'm just, waffling my way through trying to knit some things. And so there's a couple I've reached out to that I would love to have a conversation with. Kaylee, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Her channel is Kaylee, and I'll link her channel down below. She's done a couple videos where she was knitting and doing some book buying and reading and buying yarn, and that was so cool. And I reached out to her and said, I would love to have like a conversation with you on my channel, on the knitting channel, and she's up for it. And so if you're also a knitter, let me know. I know of a couple others too that, oops, I've already had a conversation with. Anyway, thanks for joining me so much. Let's continue the conversation in the comments about, I don't anything. What are you reading? Any of the books that I mentioned, the D.H. Lawrence's books from that book haul, what did you think of the Ren the Wren? And I will hopefully see you on the next one. Bye.